Dating back to 1325, the medieval Samlesbury Hall has a striking black and white timber exterior and sprawling land surrounding it. With a history that dates back almost 700 years, a ghost or two can be expected, but those haunting Samlesbury Hall have tragic backstories that have forced the tortured spirits to linger. I'm Bleaky, and in today's video we visit one of the most haunted locations in Britain, which has become the home to a decapitated priest, the angry spirit of the former owner, and a heartbroken lover who still longs for the life that was torn away from her by her own family. At some point in the 16th century, it is rumoured that Charles I ordered a raid on the hall by soldiers. As the men stormed the building, they came across a priest who was hiding in the aptly named priest's room. Refusing to back down from the soldiers, he was brutally stabbed and decapitated in the room that he once found spiritual solace. The room was bricked up for 200 years and was reopened in 1898. The bloodstains on the wooden flooring could still be seen until the Harrison family replaced it when they took over ownership of the hall. To the shock of the family, however, the bloodstains began reappearing and disappearing in the location the priest fell. When a popular paranormal TV show called Most Haunted visited the location in 2004, the medium claimed to have sensed blood seeping into the floor of the room.
As if this whole floor is just covered in thick blood. Thick blood, a big pool of it.
Unfortunately, slip bang doesn't work when it comes to the supernatural. Any home that stands for 700 years will have seen more than its fair share of tragedy. One such event at the hall involved Joseph Harrison, a philanthropist and entrepreneur who purchased the house in 1862. Harrison was a good friend of Charles Dickens, but unlike his cold-hearted and tight-fisted character Scrooge, Harrison was known for his spending habits and his love for entertaining guests. Joseph's son William also lived and worked at the house, but one cold winter he slipped on the ice and badly hurt his head and fractured his kneecap in 1879. The bad luck continued when William's dog was bitten by a rabid dog. Soon after, the hound began showing symptoms of rabies. William asked the gamekeeper of the hall to put the creature down, but he refused. Soon after, William's sister discovered her brother lying in a pool of blood. She determined that he had accidentally pulled the trigger when trying to load the gun to put the animal out of its misery. His brother Henry, however, had other ideas. William had sustained brain damage from his fall on the ice years previous and had drastically changed as a result. He began to look strange, suffered agonising pains in his head, complained that he could no longer sleep properly, and lost the ability to read. His brother said that he was also unable to give clear instructions or make decisions, skills that he was known to excel in previously. Henry believed that his brother may have taken things into his own hands to escape the pain. The following year, his father, Joseph, died of natural causes, with many suspecting he died of a broken heart. To this day, many believe that the spirits, tormented by tragedy, still linger, with several unexplained things taking place within Samlesbury Hall. Bells are heard ringing in the dead of night, and papers placed on the table are found strewn across the room, as if pushed by an invisible force. Paranormal investigators have reported the presence of an unhappy, angry spirit that resides in Samlesbury Hall. This is believed to be that of the late Joseph Harrison. It has also been claimed that footsteps have frequently been heard in the long gallery whilst no one is there. Could this be the presence of William Harrison, his spirit still frustrated that his capabilities to work were taken away from him because of a misfortunate accident? The most famous and frequently cited ghost roaming Samlesbury Hall is the White Lady. She has been seen by visitors and employees inside the hall, as well as nearby fields and even the nearby bus stop. In fact, on several occasions, bus drivers have pulled over after seeing a shadowy female standing at the bus stop. When they pull in and open the doors, nobody gets on, and the woman is nowhere to be seen. The identity of the White Lady is believed to be Dorothy Southworth, a member of the prominent family that once owned the hall. Now, Dorothy's family were strict Catholics, and in the 17th century she fell in love with a boy from an Anglican aristocratic family, a big no-no at the time. Dorothy approached her father and asked if she could marry her lover, but he exploded in a rage and forbade the marriage. Despite being told to stop seeing the boy, Dorothy continued seeing her lover in secret, and the two eventually decided to elope and skip off into the sunset. Unfortunately, tragedy struck when Dorothy's brother discovered the plans. The couple had planned a location to meet at in the dead of night. While the young man stood in a wooded area, illuminated by the moonlight, he saw a figure coming towards him. He smiled at the sight, before realising it wasn't Dorothy. It was a brother. From each side, two of his friends burst out of the trees and grabbed hold of him, allowing her brother to execute him. After the murder, Dorothy was sent to a convent, where she died of a broken heart. Since then, the pale apparition has been seen by several guests and employees of the hall, floating down the corridors. She's described as roaming the building as if looking for her lover. Crying has also been heard from inside rooms, but when they are investigated, no one's there. Receptionist Helena Colville said visitors and members of staff frequently report ghostly events. She said people always say that they have seen the white lady crossing the road outside, and that they can feel the presence of her in the room, and sometimes they even spot the spirit rushing past them. Centuries after the murder of the young man, 3 skeletons were discovered outside the moat of the hall. It is believed that one of these belonged to Dorothy's lover. This would make sense, as one of the frequent locations the woman in white is spotted is around the moat. In May 2006, a new restaurant opened on the site, and the owner was left terrified after seeing a white figure of a woman run past him, crossing the road and then vanishing for the nearby fields. One night during the 1950s, a dinner was being held in the Great Hall of Samlesbury. During the evening, one of the guests had to return to his bedroom to get some more cigars. As he walked through the parlour room, however, he happened to glance out the window, but was frozen to his core when he saw a 6-horse funeral carriage on the drive outside. The gentleman driving the horses looked up and straight into the eyes of the dinner guest. The man described the driver as having missing teeth and a patch over one of his eyes. While this may be a regular sight on Tinder, the poor guy couldn't swipe left to make it go away. Startled, the dinner guest sprinted back to the Great Hall and asked if anyone else had seen or heard the horse-drawn hearse. No one had seen or heard anything, and laughed at their frightened friend, telling him to lay off the brandy. At what level of drunkenness do you have to be to see undead funeral processions? I've only unlocked the traffic cone on the head level myself. A week after the strange sighting, the dinner guest travelled to London for a business meeting. He was staying at the recently refurbished Hilton Hotel. The hotel wanted all the latest mod cons, so had a brand new elevator installed. As the guest was staying on the top floor, he decided to use this new elevator. He pressed the call button and waited for the elevator to rumble up to the top of the hotel. As the door opened, however, he almost fell back to see the driver of the hearse from Samlesbury Hall looking at him, dressed in the uniform of a lift attendant. The guest couldn't understand how he was seeing the phantom man again in a completely different setting. Staggering back, the terrified man ran down the corridor towards the stairs. A few seconds later, however, a terrible crashing noise was heard throughout the entire building. Once he got to the lobby, he was met with an awful sight. The lift cables had snapped and sent the car crashing to the ground floor. The lift doors had burst open with the impact and sent pieces of debris all over the floor. While the staff stood back in panic, the guest ran over to the open doors and dropped to his knees to clear the mangled mess inside the lift. "What are you doing, sir?" asked the manager. The guest looked back and said that he was looking for the man in the lift. The manager told the guest that he had already looked and was certain the elevator was fortunately empty. The guest was confused. "I saw your lift attendant in there seconds before it fell." The manager looked at him with confusion and said, "We don't have a lift attendant at the Hilton, sir." So it's either the spirit of Samlesbury Hall decided to get a weekend job, I mean import charges must be ridiculous in the ghost realm, or the spirit that dealt with so much death while he was alive decided to warn the guest of his impending doom. So, are the spirits of Samlesbury Hall stuck at the location, unable to move on from so much heartache and anger inflicted upon them by others? Or are the strange goings on nothing more than a creaky old building making unusual sounds and causing heightened paranoia in people, especially after hearing the long list of tragedy? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and would like to watch more haunted and paranormal content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. That way you'll be informed the second I upload. You can also click on my channel name below this video and check out my other uploads. And until next time, sleep well, friends.